Hello, it's Skynes Projects and Games here for my second video. First video was the docking tutorial and the start of my new series. I'll probably post a video on that sometime this week. One thing I wanted to say is that my uploading will be a little irregular, just because summer school is starting for me to knock out a high school credit. So, might be a little irregular, but I'll get right back on track with regularness, I guess. Okay, so this video is going to be a moon landing tutorial in preparation for my series about the Kerbin system, space stations, and all that stuff. So I'm about to start building by. Alright, here we go. I'm starting the build procedure. I considered using Mark 1 and decided to go with a Mark 2. Realized that I killed off all the crew, so I'd go back and hire a couple crew. Well, actually, all the crew, all the applicants. Considered using LV909s, but then I realized this might be a little low thrust, so I decided to use the Poodle engine. 4 of those largest landing struts. I considered using the medium struts, but those were a little small. Put a bunch of solar panels on there. Oh, a little note. This will not return to Kerbin. It's got no landing stuff or anything like that. So you go. I'm going to put 4 nuclear engines on here, which is way too much. Probably could get to Ike or Duna, or Gilly and Eve. But, that's alright. It's always good to have a little bit more Delta V, right? Just as a little safety. So here's my basic launcher. The main sails will feed into the Mammoth engines, which will then stage, and the Rhinos will fire. Alright, so let's see how it does. I just cut out all the launch process here. I've got a maneuver node with a intersect with the moon. Just about to burn there. I felt you guys didn't really want to see the launch process, but if you guys do, just tell me and I'll just do that. So you got, I'm pointing towards maneuver node, and I'm about to switch over back to old, well, you know what I mean. Back to me. So there's my maneuver node. Okay, warped next maneuver. I can't remember if I said this in my other video, but warped next maneuver is awesome because it allows you to get really close to get to 1 minute of the maneuver, which is great if you're at most 2 minutes, because you want to be at about half of your you want to start burning at about half of this time. So for me, it would be probably about 13 seconds. Alright, here we go. I just sped this up at 2 times speed. I'm just burning towards the moon. I already showed you my maneuver node. I'm gonna have way too much Delta V here. If you can see, I had those 4 nuclear engines. They didn't even burn yet. What happens here is that, as it turns out, I'm fine with this on my own. I don't really need that maneuver node. So bring it down to 40,000, which is perfectly fine height for the moon. It would be an atmosphere on Kerbin, but as the moon doesn't have atmosphere, it's good here. So that's a perfectly fine maneuver. Alright, I'm done. Alright, so here we go. I'm actually doing this a few days after I started editing this, because I just kind of fell back in. Like I said, I've got summer school going on and all that stuff. But I'll still keep on churning out videos. It takes me a little while to upload them, just because sometimes I don't get bandwidth time. Like I said, I'm living with my family, so it's not always perfect. But one thing I wanted to say is that I've got a couple other videos planned out. One more recorded, which I'll hopefully edit tonight. Yeah, so this is kind of like the first part of my Moon and Kerbin, the Kerbin series, moon station. So that will come soon. Alright, here we go. Basically what's happening now is I'm just canceling out all of my orbital speed. I've got into orbit, all that stuff. And as soon as I decide to start the landing, right about now, consider using a maneuver node. Then I realized, oh wait, I could just do it retrograde, which is an easier way. Checked my quick save and made a little quick save, which, if you don't know, it's Alt F5 to create a strong quick save. So here I am, I'm pointing retrograde. And finally, those Rhino engines burn out after burning a little bit. So there we go, fire up the nuclear engines. One thing I want to say before I go back to pre-production me, I finally found a good name for it. Is that you should start really thinking about landing at about 20,000 meters. Start trying to get your orbital speed, well, whatever speed, if it's in surface or even target mode or whatever, whatever speed it down as low as possible. Well, actually, it's probably not going to be in target mode, but try and get your speed as down low as possible at about 20,000 meters. Okay, yeah, so that's my advice. And so here we go. I'm using my nuclear engine on here, which produce 240 kilonewtons of thrust collectively. They don't produce as much acceleration though as the Poodle engine on the lander stage, so they've got to move more mass. But they're more efficient, and I want to save as much fuel as possible on the lander stage, just because I'm a little paranoid about that stuff, and it really would be embarrassing for me to run out of fuel and then have to go over it again. That would be pretty frustrating, but no, so I do manage it. I do manage to land, but I just try and conserve as much fuel for that Poodle engine. It also have a much higher acceleration, so even if my speed's above 100, I'll be fine. Alright, so here we go. I'm about to jettison that nuclear stage, because I've gotten the surface speed below 100, so I'm going to be more than fine. All I have to do now is point retrograde and prevent myself from getting too fast. Let's see, so I'm about to jettison that, there we go. And this one, if you notice, if I fire up my engine again, I can't remember, I probably do. But look at the G rating, because you'll see how much acceleration there is. So time warp cuts out at 5,000 meters from the moon. And look, I've got about 1 G on this, which is pretty good, especially for landing in moon gravity. So the debris is about to hit the ground. And okay, there we go. So this is all post-production me talking, because when I was filming this, I got really distracted with how scientists figured out the sea level on the moon. Well, our moon. And the bar up the top, the measurement 3,200 meters, saying that said right then, that's sea level. But you're not always landing at sea level, right? So inside the cockpit, to the left of the gimbal, there's the radar altitude, which is really useful because it tells you your radar altitude. So I'm actually going to talk a bit about the actual landing part. So make sure you point your spacecraft retrograde in the gimbal, and just slowly make your way down. Cancel out speed if you find yourself going too fast. Slow it down. It may be more helpful for you not just use the radar altitude and just look for a shadow. IVA landing is pretty difficult to do, especially if you're landing on the slope like I do here. I'll go into that more detail there. But yeah, just point retrograde and ease it on in. Ideal touchdown at 3 meters per second. Oh, okay, and we're shifting. That's alright. That's alright. Settle down. Turn SAS off. Okay, that's bad. So I'm gonna start moving it to over here. Ooh! I forgot to turn SAS off. SAS is pretty useful most of the time. Other times it can just be a little annoying. I'm going to try and land down into this valley area. And I'm going to point retrograde yet again. Fire. Let's see if this is better. And, whoa, no, okay, that's not better. Alright, try 3. Let's try for a better landing site. Ooh, okay, that's a little sideways, but that's alright. Point retrograde, and fire. Now, maybe that you don't want to point retrograde all the time, that's fine. That's actually probably better, just because retrograde can sometimes be shifting around and it can cause your spacecraft to shift around. There you go, I think that's a nice little landing spot. It's not the flattest spot, but no, that's alright. It's flatter than some of those hills. There you go, it's EVA, Dobless Curvin, who's sat in the backseat all the time. And Planus flag. There we go. see, site name, Landing Tutorial. Okay, I spelled that wrong, but that's all right. So ignore what I'm typing. I had a whole another section, but I cut it out to keep it at 10 minutes, a nice little tutorial length, shortest one I've done so far. But yeah, I'm Science Projects and Games here. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what I do, feel free to subscribe. So yeah, thank you so much.